In this week's edition of Top Tips Tuesday, my top tips and tools for retrospectives. The retrospective, my favourite Agile ceremony. And why? It's all about what we've learned and what we'll experiment with next. As the Virtual Agile coach, I aspire to make retrospectives fun for those involved. I do this by mixing up the themes, styles, templates and approaches I use every time. This keeps them from becoming stale. We'll explore in this video how I approach every retrospective with a series of steps and top tips. So let's begin. Step 1. Set the scene. I kick off every retrospective by reciting the retrospective prime directive. I'm aware that this sounds like something out of Star Trek, but for me this simple addition at the beginning of a retro sets the context and outcomes sought, as well as emphasising psychological safety. For the uninitiated, the retro prime directive is as follows. Regardless of what we discover, we truly understand and believe that everyone did the best job they could, given what they knew at the time, their skills and abilities, the resources available and the situation at hand. Now, what I love about this paragraph is that it sets the scene. We do not care how it happened, but we consider people with unconditional positive regard. People did the best they could, given their situation at the time, and this isn't about blame. Top tip number 1. Use the retro prime directive to align teams and focus them on what matters, what you as a team can influence in the future. Focusing on the past and blaming one another is wasted time and energy. Step 2. Choose your format. There are a myriad of retro formats out there to choose from, and I often create my own. Over the years I've created Game of Thrones themed retros, rugby and cricket World Cup retros. This for me keeps them relevant, topical and stops them from becoming stale. Having a different format each time can prevent things becoming boring. I often see teams using the same retro style every time, and most often it's what did we do well, what didn't we do well, what will we do next time. Top tip number 2. randomretros.com. Try using randomretros.com. Top tip number 2. randomretros.com. Try using Random Retro. This website, through the click of a button, generates a random retro format. You can then bring this format to life using a whiteboarding tool such as Miro or Mural. I've just clicked the Random Retro now and been given the Sailboat retrospective. Quite a common one. And then you also have the ability to start a timer, describe the iteration in 3 words. There's various pieces of functionality that I love about random retros. Step number 3. Conduct your retro. Now, I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs here, but aim to keep the retro time-bound, blame-free, and experiment-focused. Do not leave the retro without having agreed as a team 3 to 5 experiments that you'll try and tackle in the next iteration. Top tip number 3. Ensure that you pull your agreed actions or experiments into your backlog. Make sure that your retros aren't just lip service and discussion by actually adding the items to your backlog and prioritising them in your next iteration. Ensure that you have capacity for these and don't just add them as stretch objectives. Remember, taking no action at all is in itself a decision. So if the team does identify something that needs to be improved and does nothing because they're too busy, then odds are you'll just be discussing the same thing in the next retrospective anyway. Step 4. Share what you've learned with others. This is something I often see companies forget to do. So a team learns something, then what? How will you ensure that others don't make the same mistakes that you've made? How will you be transparent about your learnings and your experiments? Share the results of your retrospectives with others. They'll thank you for it if it prevents them falling foul of the same mistakes. Top tip number 4. Create a Slack channel or an equivalent channel on whatever chat platform you use called Learn Fast, Learn Often. Encourage everyone in your company to share at least weekly what they've learned, what failures they've had, and what they'll try next. This will help to establish a culture of learning and innovation. I'm always keen to hear your thoughts on these tips and these tools. I'm keen to hear about how you conduct your retrospectives, so feel free to comment and share. If you found value in this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos on and content on virtual agility. And of course, don't stop believing, folks.